you so much for that. In fact, you know, the entire metal pack Mahima has been trading under pressure. And whether it's the impact of a Hindalco or not is what we need to see, because you see any of the counters from a Hindalco, Hind Copper, JSPL, Welspun, NMDC, NALCO, JSW Steel, all literally under pressure with cuts of 1.5 to almost 6.5%.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, let's, discuss this with Aditya Welekar, who's a senior research analyst at, Axis Securities, joining us now on Trax Metals very closely. Aditya, hi. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking with us. We were just talking about how the metal counters are, cracking in trade today. And one of the reasons could be the kind of earnings that Novelis has come with, and the commentary, especially with the fire breaking out and capex guidance. Overall, just want to get a sense that we've seen a significant amount of rally in the metal index, in the last week or so. Then we've seen profit booking as well. How are you viewing the index as a whole at present? And if somebody is already invested in some of these names, how should he or she look at it?
Yeah, good afternoon. So I will not extrapolate what happened to Hindalco and its news flow with the entire metals pack. So as you said, after the rally, there is a profit booking, and there are a couple of reasons. So number one is the ADP jobs data, which has come from US at 42,000 against a forecast of 25,000. So that is slight positive surprise. And that is actually a negative read through for metals, because the US Fed rate cut outlook gets complicated because of that. And earlier, Powell has also indicated that the next Fed cut may not be as, it will be data dependent. So earlier we were expecting that the Fed cut trajectory will continue, and that will be in turn is positive for commodities and metal in particular. So that clear leeway is now lacking. So that is number one. So that is from the macro perspective why the metals we are seeing a profit booking. And now coming to the earnings season. So earnings seasons have been mixed. Hindalco, Novelis is a specific event where that has happened, and in steel names we have seen decent earnings. But I don't think one can take a call based on the earnings in the long term. We may see a short-term correction in the stocks, but most of these companies have a good expansion projects lined up. So in the long term, I think one can stay invested, and for fresh positions, one has to take a BuyOnDips kind of approach.
Okay, that's interesting, Aditya. Good afternoon, Hiral on this side. BuyOnDips should be the strategy according to you. Secondly, the takeaway right now, what I see is that someone who's already invested in metals should not worry. Now, from the uptick that we've seen, the index is up nearly 20% in the last 6 months. Now, in the last 5 trading sessions itself, you have the metal index, which has seen a downtick of around 5%. Apart from the macro indicators, when you talk about from the US and China, the data that is coming in, and the profit booking that's happening right now, which are the segments or which are the companies that would you advise investors to look at from a BuyOnDips perspective?
Yeah, so I will suggest for metals, if you divide it into steel and non-ferrous. So in the steel, we have seen that the prices are not picking up, and prices are, even after the festival season, the prices are at a lower levels. So there are a couple of reasons. In China, China is now entering into off-peak season post-October. So the weakness in prices is there in India. But as I said, means all these companies, Steel Authority of India, that is SAIL, Tata Steel, JSW Steel and Jindal Steel and Power, they are all are expanding their capacities. So the short-term volatility in metal index we cannot rule it out. That will always be there. But one has to keep a view of long-term, and all these expansion projects, once they contribute to volumes, so the volume trigger and the operating leverage trigger will kick in next 1 year and 2 years, so depending upon the specific stocks. So the expansion projects is one of the driver where we get a confidence that one can stay invested. Obviously, commodity prices will remain volatile depending upon the evolving news flow on tariffs, China-US trade deal, and all that stuff. But the downside to steel prices seems limited because of the 12% safeguard duty. Already the steel prices are much lower, and the further downside doesn't look visible at this point of time. For non-ferrous, aluminium prices have stood strong, and they are currently trading at very strong level of $2,800 per ton, which is a significant price to generate cash for the smelters. So in Hindalco, we have seen this negative news flow because of the capex escalation at its Bay Minette plant, which is slightly negative in the short term, and they have also said that because of that, the internal rate of return on that project will come down to single digit, which is slightly a negative read-through. But in the long term, means the stock will be under pressure. We might see some correction. But in the longer term, means 2 to 3 years down the line, they have expansion plans of smelters and alumina refinery and copper smelter. So from that perspective, one can stay invested. NALCO also we can see some correction in the stock price because of these macro events, but one can stay invested because one of its alumina refineries is also going for an expansion.
Okay, Aditya, quick picks in the metal space. I mean, we've seen the kind of uptick that Hiral was mentioning, about 20%, in the past 6 months, but 5% down already. So buy on the dips should be the strategy, and if yes, what counters would that be?
Yeah, so I think one can look for NALCO as a stable bait for our BuyOnDips, and then in steel names, Jindal Steel and Power and JSW remains a BuyOnDip kind of play.
Got it. So JSPL, BuyOnDips, NALCO, BuyOnDips. Thank you, Aditya, so much for joining us on the show. So clearly, the word that is coming in, it's mainly the macros, the US jobs data, etc., which has come in, which is causing some bit of uncertainty and a crackdown when it comes to metals. But it's not time to worry when it comes to the metal space. There could be times of uncertainties from here on. BuyOnDips should be the strategy that one should be adopting when it comes to metals, and it's a good long-term play that one should be watching out for. JSPL, NALCO, a few of the top picks that Aditya Welekar has given investors on NDTV Profit. But let's quickly slip into a short break. We'll be right back with the management of Chalet Hotels joining in to talk to us about the second quarter numbers. Please stay tuned to NDTV Profit.